U.S. History B, Virtual Interactive Notebook 4, Day 3, Grassroots. So today we're going to talk about grassroots movements. And what that means is grassroots comes from the bottom and rises up. So it is opposed to a top-down sort of movement. So what we're talking about here is in the Jim Crow South, when it was officially legal to discriminate against black people and other people in public places, that came from the government. And the people didn't like it. And so they changed the government from the ground up. So that's why it's called a grassroots movement. The power shifts from top down to ground up. We, the people, tell the government what to do rather than the government telling us what to do. And as a person with libertarian leanings, I really like the civil rights movement because the government wasn't doing anything, and yet people's rights were being routinely violated. And so the people changed the government. The government did not change things for the people, right? So that's what grassroots means. So this is day 3, grassroots. The main idea is grassroots. We're going to review the idea of Jim Crow, and then we're going to define grassroots, which we have, but we'll do it a little more succinctly. And then I want you to look at Letter from a Birmingham Jail. All right? So the first thing I'm going to remind you of is the Jim Crow South. So under Jim Crow, I want you to write legal segregation. The Jim Crow South was a period named after a minstrel show, which is minstrel shows were entertainment that mocked black people. And a popular character in that entertainment was a character named Jim Crow. So that name came to apply to the legally allowed segregation of the South into black and white, and with worse consequences for black people, obviously. So Jim Crow South refers to legal segregation. Write that down. Under defined, I want you to write from the people, not the government. So black people and a fair number of white people wanted to fight this Jim Crow system. So they organized and protested, and they actually changed what governments did. So it's a grassroots movement because the people changed the government. Grassroots movements don't have to be good. They're not always good. I mean, there are plenty of really bad political movements that came from the grassroots and filtered their way to the top. So, but this one, I think if you're an American and you like liberty, this one has to be good, right? So this is the civil rights movement. Now, under a letter from a Birmingham jail, one thing I want you to write is MLK, which of course stands for Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was a minister. He had a doctorate. And in Birmingham, a movement coalesced around the bus boycott. Rosa Parks refused to sit in the back of the bus, that thing. So after that happened, a movement formed, and they needed a leader. And Dr. King said, well, if nobody else is going to do it, I'll give it a try. But I don't think I'm the best man for the job. And they gave him the job, and he became MLK. He's the closest thing we have to probably an American saint. So Dr. King, in the course of his protesting, advocated for something called passive resistance. So under letter from a Birmingham jail, you have MLK, and then I want you to write passive resistance. And you don't have to define passive resistance because the definition is in the term. Passive resistance means they were going to resist the government peacefully, not through violence. Dr. King got this idea from Gandhi and also from Jesus, that the way to stand up to government in a dignified way is not to repay violence with violence, but to repay violence with peace. And then the people watching this understand who is the aggressor and who is the evil in this situation, who represents the good, who represents peace and freedom and happiness and that kind of thing. And it worked. Dr. King and his movement changed the country through passive resistance. They didn't use violence. So the third thing I want you to write down for letter from a Birmingham jail is I want you to read the text excerpt from your chapter, which I have included with today's lesson. And I want you to write the main idea of this letter. Dr. King had been arrested for resisting peacefully. And when he was in jail, he wrote a letter. And it sort of encapsulated his philosophy. So I want you to summarize his philosophy from a reading of this very famous American document. All right? So to review, Jim Crow South was legal segregation of black and white people. And then we have grassroots, and that's a movement from the people that changes the government. And then we have Letter from a Birmingham jail. And under that, you have MLK, stands for Martin Luther King, passive resistance. And then you're going to summarize letter from a Birmingham jail. And I will see you tomorrow for day 4. Thank you. Oh, wait. Sorry. Output today. I want you to draw a picture that shows the definition of grassroots. So I want you to somehow symbolize the people and symbolize the government and show me the definition of grassroots just in a picture. Now I'll see you tomorrow for day 4. Bye.